Good morning. It is another installment of Women's History Month, and I know you have probably missed me for the past couple of days, but life happens, and I've just been resting, especially the past couple of days. So I'm happy to be back and be here today with someone I have known since about 2002. We used to work together at Boys and Girls Clubs of Chicago, and she has definitely been a force in my life and just been one of those constant friends and people that you just have in your corner. And she's hired me to work for her in other organizations. And we thought we sit down and we do some thought partnering together and we talk about life and all the good things. So Miss Ayoka Mota Samuels, and I had to make sure I put that in the writing. I was like, wait, is it Samuels Mota or Mota Samuels? I always forget which way it is. But I am so happy to have you here today. Good morning.
Good morning to you.
How are you today on this Monday, on this gray Monday? I don't
On a
know what's
great
going on with the weather.
March. So,
Absolutely. So, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
sure. Well, I was born and raised in Chicago on the South Side. I am a daughter of the state of Illinois. My people are from the South. I'm a grad of Whitney Young. I'm unapologetically about that,
Yes, Dolphins in the house.
as well as University of Illinois. And I
Big
graduated.
Ten champs.
But yes. Really, really, there you go. And I graduated in agriculture, actually. And so I got an opportunity to hang out with a lot of people who live in rural Illinois. And very early on, I understood that food justice and environmental justice was something that is important for people of color. And so in the late 80s, 1990s, that's when I decided that I wanted to do that and graduated in ag. And as you had mentioned, worked with you for a long time at Boys and Girls Clubs of Chicago. But before that, I got an opportunity to work with a wonderful sister by the name of Paula Robinson, who taught me everything I needed to know about marketing and branding and all of that.
Mm,
Her company and another Black woman who definitely is a leader in the city of Chicago. Um, and so with Muntu Dance Theater. And so I was just
yes.
happy to do some work for them, worked with Malcolm X College to put on the Kwanzaa celebration for almost about a decade in the early 2000s. So I'm really happy to have that experience.
That's
And
exciting.
yeah, and moved on to Gary Comer Youth Center on the South Side of Chicago as its director. And now I am the executive director for the Serve Illinois Commission on Volunteerism and Community Service. So, yeah, that's me.
Awesome. What a wonderful career. You know what? I don't think I ever knew that you studied agriculture.
Yes, yes, I did.
I think that is the first time I'm hearing this. That's so wonderful. Like, that's one of the things I love about this is I'll be like, really? You did that?
I was very much interested in, um, like I said, food justice,
Hmm.
also making sure that people understood the importance of food in our communities, so on and so forth during that time period. I was a part of 4-H. I participated in state fairs and county fairs, and I might have been like one of like the 5 Black people that were there. But
Right, right.
mhm. I mean, but the thing is that African Americans, even before our bondage here in the United States, have always been agrarians, have always been keepers of the environment, have always been
Hmm.
farmers. In fact, it's we understand that it's Black women that actually invented rice thousands of years ago. So, in terms of our connection to the earth and to the environment and to the importance of food, I felt like I wanted to carry that on, and I still do.
Come on with the history lesson on today. I appreciate it. I love it. And honestly, I feel like you experiencing all of that has set you up for the position that you're now in the governor's office, like realistically, so that's pretty cool. Great. Well, we are going to dive right into our questions.
Okay.
And so the first question up for you today is, Everybody who is really connected to me knows that I always use the hashtag obstacle to opportunity. So, what is an obstacle that you have been able to turn into an opportunity?
Wow. So there's so many instances that I could call on, but the one that I will talk about is the sometimes we think that we have in our minds what it is that we want to do, right? The next promotion or what have you, and there was an opportunity, a brand new opportunity within the Comer Foundation and the work that we were doing on the South Side in Grand Crossing. And I knew that I was just the person that was ready for that next step. Um, and and I was, but that's not what happened, right? And so in that moment, I felt a certain kind of way about it. Sometimes you start to think that, well, maybe I wasn't good enough. As you know, a lot of Black women have issues with the imposter syndrome. So I was really
Hmm.
going through that a lot. Um, but what ended up happening was that if I would have gotten that position, I wouldn't have been available for the one that I'm in now. And so in that particular case, what I did is I continued to still do the best I could at the job that I had, but I had to also be open to other things. So those areas that was said that I needed to grow on, I needed to work on, or they were looking for at the time. I said to myself, well, I will use those as areas where I will strengthen. And I did.
Hmm.
But then the other thing that's really interesting, and this is important for Black women to understand, is that they were skills that I already had. And
Hmm.
so I had to find a venue or a way that I could express and show that I already had those, not necessarily to prove to the decision makers that they made the wrong decision. It came to the point where that wasn't even important anymore, but it was more so for myself to understand that I already had these skills and to
Yeah, and that you could do it. You could actually do it, and we had some conversations around that.
did. And so then as a result, not only am I now able to have a positive impact on the people in Grand Crossing, I'm having a positive impact on all the residents of the state and beyond.
So that's powerful because I think so often, especially in work, when we don't get the promotion, when we don't get the next job, we're automatically like, well, what's wrong with me? Or I didn't do it, or I could. And we don't think about what's the setup, right? We have no idea what the setup is for a year later, 6 months later, whatever the time frame is. So that is a powerful, just powerful story to turn something that's an obstacle into an opportunity for you to continue to grow, and now prepared you for an amazing position, right? Statewide, and you have greater impact and greater influence. So I love that. So thinking about that, because you had to exercise resilience in that moment, how are you intentional about being resilient?
Well, it's interesting because I actually have to be intentional about being resilient every day. Because this is my first time being in a government position, and so it's like learning a different language, right? If you've ever tried to learn a different language as an adult, you're like, oh my gosh.
Right. What's going on? What's happening here?
Right, what's happening? And so you got to keep in mind that, I came from a world where for 15 years is an organization that I built with other people, but it was built around what we wanted to do. We were trailblazing, so on and so forth. And so in this particular case, I'm trailblazing in a different way, but I have to learn the language. I have to be really intentional. It's not something that, I made it, I built it, or I've been studying for a long time, like
Hmm.
in our community development in its own way. I mean, I'm one of those people that if we're talking about youth development in the city of Chicago or the state of Illinois, or actually, to be honest, now in different areas throughout the country and around the world, I'm at the table or I know the people who are, right?
Yeah.
In this particular case, it's a new journey, it's a new understanding of how we serve serve our people. So I really have to be thoughtful about what people are saying, what the words are that people are using, so that I can make sure I really understand it. So it's kind of great. It's actually great for your brain to
I
be
was
able to
about to say, you're using your listening, you're using like all your communication skills to be resilient, to really understand and connect with people on a level that you may not have previously,
right.
right?
Yeah, and you have to, because communication is effective communication. It's so important to maintain relationships, to build new ones, to also to make sure that you're problem solving, right?
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
so, in order to do that, it's important for you to, for me, I've learned to understand what the other person is saying, and so in order for me to do that, I have to understand your language to the best of my ability, right?
Absolutely.
I would just say, even though, I mean, that may not necessarily be the most profound intentionality, but I do think that it is an important intentionality to really understand someone else's language when you're trying to work with them. And also, if it's a language that you want to make sure is your own. So then, when I'm communicating with others about what it is that I do now, I'm intentional about how I am communicating as well, you know,
Hmm.
so that I'm not getting caught up with jargon and things like that, And so I think that that has been incredible, because it really has broadened my understanding, and really it does keep your brain moving, right?
I
And
love that.
when you are aware and intentional, it allows you to be present, which is something
Mm.
oftentimes in our society, we're either thinking about what happened or what's about to happen. And we don't always think about what's happening, right? And so you need all three. And so this opportunity, being intentional, uh, gives you an opportunity to really be present. That's
I
important.
love that. It's so important, and I think you're right. We're always thinking about the next thing, and it's difficult for us to stay in the moment of what is really happening and give our attention to either the people or the event or the thing that's happening at that time. So I appreciate that. Of course, this is Women's History Month, and I have been bringing women that are in my circle that are important to me, that have, just done some great things that I want everybody to know about. So, who is a woman in your life that you admire, and why?
Well, in addition to yourself, this is your show, so I'll tell you about somebody else.
I appreciate you. Thank you for that. I
There's
paid her to say that, y'all. I paid her now.
you know so many women that I look up to for so many different things. But the woman that comes immediately to mind right now is a woman that many of us know. Her name is Pat Red, and Pat Red is has been an educator in CPS and outside of CPS or Chicago Public Schools for a long time. And her husband actually own a trophy shop on 75th, right off of Cottage.
Yes, yes. We done gave them many a business.
CMS trophies. So in addition to having a trophy shop, which is important for our community. So anytime we wanted to give praise, acknowledgement, or recognition to people in our community, people will go to CMS trophies. And so she and her husband really understood why they were important in our neighborhood for that, because when do we ever get an opportunity to recognize and praise each other, right? So I think that that's fantastic. But then also, for her being an educator in this community, throughout the city, throughout the state, she has been a consultant for everyone I can think of, honestly, in education, but also with the University of Chicago and School of Social Work in particular. She has shaped how we understand how communities operate in schools and how schools operate in communities. She it has been a coach and guide for so many people, in particular Black women, in
Mhm.
the 20 years that I've known her. And so she lives. She's a walking example of what
Mm.
an educator looks like. You know,
I
so
love that.
not clear, you can look at Pat Red, and she's not one of those people that will say, "Well, I'm too busy or I don't know you, so I can't help you." That's never been her, and she knows everybody, and everybody knows her. And so, I would like to lift her up today. Because I actually just yesterday I was talking to some of my colleagues in education and like, well, who should I talk to about XYZ? And I said, Pat Red, without blinking,
I
because
love it.
she understands what needs to happen for our children, what needs to happen for teachers, what needs to happen for all those other people who are engaged in education through communities or what have you. She's a rock star, and I'm not just saying that because our birthdays are a day apart from each other, but but she really is a woman to know.
I love that. I really appreciate that. And actually, I don't know if I met Pat outside. I think I met her through you. So, I think I'm familiar with her through you. So that's great. So, last but not least, I am curating a playlist for this Women's History Month and for us being resilient. So, when you think about music, and you're a music person, because you sing, I ain't gonna tell everybody that, but you sing.
On.
But what is your song? What is your get up and go? Like, yes, as soon as I hear this puts me in the right space, right mood, all of that.
Wow. So there are just so many different women who do some fantastic songs and all of that. But is actually two. It's one song that's actually on an album with Quincy Jones called Back on the Block. I think that came out maybe 92 or 93.
You taking us back.
Right. And there's a song called We Be Doing It. And on it, you have different women and men, Take Six and all of that, that is singing about how we as African American people and as African descendants of Africa, actually, how we use the word we be doing it, or we be, or we, it's like, because our understanding of time is everything is happening at the same time, right? So don't
Hmm.
talk about how we don't understand the English language. We understand, right? But we understand it so much that we put the present, past, and future together.
All together.
And there's this one part, and it's like I said, it's a group of people who are actually singing, but there's this one part that's done by Ella Fitzgerald. And I recognize the fact that I lived in a time that I was able to hear her sing in a song that was like a hip hoppy kind of thing, and it's all a cappella, right? And
Oh wow.
Ella Fitzgerald is the coldest. And every time I hear her singing, and the other sisters, it just really brings you up. It gives you energy, because it's who we are unapologetically. And in her
Hmm.
part, she's just scatting. And it's so cold. I'm like, oh my God, so I'm just honored to be listening to her. Yeah, yeah.
I love it. Cool. I love it. I love it. We are adding it to the list because I don't know if I've ever heard it.
Yeah, it's on there. It's like right before Tomorrow, and some other songs.
Huh. Okay. All right. Well, we are gonna add it to the list. I cannot wait. I cannot wait to hear it and not wait to listen. Ioka, thank you so much for spending a few minutes with me this morning. I I have a call that is coming through on something. This is so weird how your phones and everything just be ringing. I think my email is ringing. But anyway, I just want to thank you for spending some time with me this morning. I appreciate you. And I just want other people to know the greatness that you bring with you on each and every day. So, this is Women's History Month. Thank you for spending the time. And I hope that you all enjoyed this on today. And I'll see you next time.